Hello, and welcome to my channel. I am the Lumber Snack, and today we're talking about Normonism. What is it? Well, Normonism is my belief structure and how I have rationally and logically categorized the world for religious and spiritual whatnahuzits. And it's based on part, in fact, of my Mormon upbringing, with Gnosticism as a frontal part of it. But in creating that name, it pays homage to my northern heritage. So I have conducted it as Normonism, and it is the northern religion. It's pretty much how I feel. But Gnosticism, if you don't know what Gnosticism is tentatively the power is belief, and whether you believe or not. People who believe inherently put themselves in a better position to understand, is what I think. And what are the four tenets? We're just going to go over this lightly and loosely, because I don't want it to be so long. But anyhow, there is one God above all else, and that is more as a principle, If we take the Big Bang and we bring it all the way back, we can coalesce it into that one point that started it. Before that is nothing. But that nothingness was so powerful that it led to that one point, and so that is God, Allah. That's why he announces himself as one, because right? Makes enough sense to me. We read the Naruk, which is Arabic and roughly translates to text of fire. We'll get into that more later. 2, the Lord of the Earth is Anki. This is a phonetic translation of Enki from ancient Mesopotamia, because he was originally credited as creator of humanity. The Lord of the Earth seems to be mentioned fairly frequently in the Bible as well as the Quran, and the Lord of the Earth is seen kind of, in my opinion, as separately from the Lord of the Heavens. And it's only, that one God above all else that is the God of both, Lord of the Earth and Lord of Heavens. But anyhow, Anki roughly translates to heaven and earth, and it's the area where heaven meets earth. It's, in my opinion, God's reflection. I call it the dog. But it's more or less just the Spirit, the Holy Spirit, that part of the Trinity that everyone seems to struggle with except the Jehovah's Witness. That's Anki. 3, Lord of Heavens is Anu. That is just more tentatively the afterlife and the creator of the general scope of things. I kind of see him more as a computer programmer type guy who doesn't really take a whole lot of, doesn't really interact too much with humanity at all. He comes with a gatekeeper, because the gatekeeper is my biggest, firmest belief in the afterlife, which is that you basically are shut down, your brain collapses into one, specific spark, and then that procedures up whatever the next step is, and you're greeted by a triangular-headed fellow that more or less asks, how do you want to be seen or whatever, and then it would be an interview. You have to speak honestly. And then what happens after that is determined. Whether the gatekeeper is God himself or just, the ferryman, who knows? You don't. I don't, but I choose to believe in, at the very least, the gatekeeper, and it's because I believe in God the one. And then 4, Asha is the ultimate truth. Asha is a very, very old school, ancient term that is originating in Zoroastrianism. And it is seen as part of the Ahura Mazda, which was their monotheistic god, albeit Ahura Mazda is not that. Ahura Mazda is roughly just all that can be good. striving to the side that is good. Is Asha as being part of that versus the side that is evil, which was known as the Druj, which means deceivers. Asha means truth, and then the Dawnbreaker. And the Dawnbreaker is a classification of people seen in the Baha'i faith. This includes the likes of Yeshu, the Isa, Zoroaster, Muhammad, Isaiah, I believe, a lot of people. And basically, their belief is that this Dawnbreaker pops up on this earth and is directly appointed by God to take control and take command and shed light on all that needs to be shed. Because that's in the name as Dawnbreaker, it's that first shadow, it's that first piece of light that breaks the dawn and the darkness that's in it, and so you can see again, is what the Dawnbreaker is, and that's part of Asha. And so, what is Gnormonism? Gnormonism is a sect of Zoroastrianism, the forgotten monotheistic religion that was allegedly prevalent from about 13 BC to about 400 BC, shortly died out after Cyrus the Great rescued the Jews from their Babylonian exile. And then from that point as well, Christianity kind of started to sprout up, and so it got dodged, and then came the frickin' Council of Nicaea 315, where they decided, which books belonged in the Bible, which ones were to be cast out because they didn't fit the narrative to control the citizens who were just taking to Christianity so fast. And so they just kind of politicized religion and got rid of a lot of books. And I think that's why, Muhammad had to be anointed and called by God to do what he did. I really do. So that, they could go forth and talk more about the book of Revelations, because the Quran is basically Revelations 2.0. It's like the expanded version, in my opinion, is the direct sequel. But that's going to do it for this video. This is kind of just, I'm going to leave this up for people while I make my more videos, because this is something that kind of doesn't fit the narrative. I know people like the status quo of religion and Christianity, but at the heart of it, who were the wise men who showed up to see the baby Isa? It was the Magi. And why am I trying to reinvigorate Zoroastrianism from the modern time? Because religion is being used as a weapon in war to get bombs to be deployed on people and to get people to be killed. And it's just so warped, so disgusting, and it needs to end. And the only way that it can end is if people leave their religions, leave what's comfortable to them, and go after something that makes more truer sense. And I must say about my faith in Gnormonism is that it does revolve a lot around fire. It does, because I truly believe we're living in the land of fire, the world of fire. It's the electromagnetism all about. It's it's the old school method of fire. It's never left. I think reincarnation's real. I've said it, I basically think that you get brought back. You can either choose to come back if you've been good, or you're forced to come back and are punished in your next go around. I really don't know, but that kind of seems likely. But I do believe in a liberation from the soul if you're not one for this world, and that's why it's important to always remember, Allah and the Quran, because I truly believe that the Quran, that's how you get to the good afterlife. If you're worried about it, is just so much follow it to your heart's content as fervently as you want. But we're quickly moving into the world of fire, and it's important to know what fire is and why it's important that people behave themselves and, care for their common man. Anyhow, thank you for watching. Please subscribe.